Hello, Ora.
Hello, Ram.
You're a philosophical practitioner and you're also a philosophical counselor. And among other things, you see individual counselees. And I wonder if you could share with us a little bit how you work. Let's say that the counselee comes to you with some issue. What kind of procedure or process or tools do you use with such a counselee?
Each counselor is different, so it depends on the person and on our interaction. But in order to make things a little bit clearer, let's take as an example of somebody who might be known to many of the audience. He's not a real person, but he's very, very real to me. Hamlet.
Hamlet. Okay.
Let's suppose that after the famous duel when everybody got killed and he was poisoned, somebody found the antidote and gave him something that saved him from the poisoning, and he is now in hospital and he needs very much support
because he is shocked and
he's
anxious.
Shocked and he's confused. And as I happened also to work with people after accidents in rehabilitation centers and people after other crises, it may be relevant. So I come to Hamlet, or Hamlet comes to me, or we meet somewhere, and I ask him what troubles him. First of all, I am with him. He lost his friends, he lost his mother, he lost his father. First of all, I'll be with him. I will be with him in his pain without much talking. Just give him my sympathy and my presence. And I think this is very important for talking with people, for creating contact with them. And then we'll talk a little bit about what troubles him. Now let's assume that he makes things easy for me because Hamlet was himself a philosopher and the issues were clear to him, maybe clearer than to psychologists who looked for his Oedipus complex and all that. And he tells me that he doesn't know what to do. He suspects that his father was murdered and his mother had betrayed him. And he's not sure. And he also doesn't know what to do. And, we have the text from Hamlet about all his inability to decide whether it really happened, and if he did, what he should do. Killing is perhaps, according to the principle of vengeance, is okay, but as a Christian can do it, and so forth and so on. And I think that what I'll do then, I'll first legitimize his confusion.
So when you say legitimize, it's okay, Hamlet, that you are confused now. It's fine.
I would have been also confused. In your place, I would also been confused. It is confusing in this sense that, and you are not the first one. And I'll let him, it depends on the contact between us, but I'll let him to choose about what he wants to talk. We cannot do of course not in one conversation, but also in a whole session. Can we talk about the issue of knowledge? Or can we talk about the issue of what's right to do and what's wrong to do? Or maybe the issue is what to do against a psychologist who told me, oh, Hamlet, why are you procrastinating? Why are you not doing anything? He was torturing himself. Why am I not doing anything? And I talked to him about not doing, about putting things in parentheses, epoche, and thinking. Talking with him about that.
So it seems to me that the first stage, if I understand you correctly, is realizing that there are different issues that can be addressed, like the issue of knowledge, how do I know that my father was killed, and the issue of ethics, what should I do, and the issue of procrastinating, and you focus on one of them. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think that in this case, the first one I'll take as a general philosophical attitude. Forget about procrastination. Procrastination is when something is very urgent, and it's true that he was living in a very something was very rotten in the kingdom of Denmark, and many intrigues, and it was dangerous. But philosophically speaking, take your time, put things into parentheses. It's okay. It's not procrastination. Procrastination is a bad word for other disciplines. Take the time for thinking, for rethinking things.
Which is a philosophical attitude of...
Yes. Yeah. And it creates, in two respects, it creates a distance, put aside a little bit emotions, and see that your issue is general. It's not only the case of Hamlet with his personal father, the case of not knowing when you have some rumors and some suspicions, and you don't know how to deal with it. It's not only your problem. So if you take the example of Hamlet, he has a spirit, the ghost of his father talked to him, and he doesn't know whether to believe, to count on a ghost. So we can talk about what is a reliable source of knowledge for you, and how much do you really want to know. And do you want to know this kind of issues? And sometimes is it important to know? What difference does it make if you know and if you don't know? Now, I don't understand. I don't offer an answer. Well, knowledge is this, and I use various tools from various discussions of philosophers about knowledge. Also and asking, hey, what's the point of knowing? What will happen when you know? Assume that God talks to you and tell you, and now you know. Why is it important for you to know it? And we can go on this, but we can go also on the issue of knowledge. Can you count on a ghost? Can you count that you make a theater, a theater piece, and you see the reaction of people? Is this reliable evidence?
Do you sometimes use actual material from other philosophers, like a text or a name, or just mentioning the name?
Well, if you take again Hamlet, for example, he studied at Wittenberg. Wittenberg's, for me, it reminds me of Luther. So I will perhaps take texts from Luther because he knows them. I assume that he knows them. That is, I will look for him to see texts that can be understandable to him, that he might be interested in. I don't use abstract text. I think it's irrelevant. But if you came to me, I tell you maybe you take Nietzsche. But it depends on the person. I don't think that Hamlet would like Nietzsche, but perhaps Kierkegaard. Yeah? Danish.
So you as a philosopher, it sounds, are an expert in asking questions, making distinctions, identifying the issues.
This is one aspect of the things. Another aspect is what you do. Both in the case of there are three issues, I think, in Hamlet: the issue of knowledge, the issue of ethics, and the issue of friendship, because he has a bad experience of betraying mother. Leave Oedipus aside, his mother had betrayed his father, his mother has betrayed his trust, and betrayal is around over there. So there is also an issue of interpersonal relations in this. And it's not that I have an offer, a kind of salvation from this kind of human condition. But the question that I would lead to is, our human condition is to live in a world where trust is not perfect, when there's a lot of uncertainty, moral uncertainty, and how do we cope with it?
So by way of summarizing the things that you said, if I understand correctly, you help the person, in this case Hamlet, to think more clearly about the issues, to make the right distinctions between the big confusion, and somehow to lead to the understanding that your situation is part of human existence. It's not something that is just unique to you. And that's the way we humans are. We are in the middle of the world with all kinds of lack of knowledge and confusion.
Excuse me, it sounds me a little bit too moralizing. No.
Okay.
I think I want Hamlet to arrive himself to his position and to propose for him options of different attitudes to the human condition. And to show him that for instance, there is one option that he chose to take himself as the useless because he cannot decide, and you tell him to change. This I would like really to change in him.
So a possible ending of a few sessions is that he assumes a certain attitude. Which attitude? There's a possibility.
That is not a piece of good for nothing because he doesn't know how to decide. This I would do with every person, because this I think is very basic. Confusion is legitimate, that ambiguity is part of the human condition, ambivalence is also, and now that can be very various reaction to it, responders, not reaction, responders. And here maybe I would say Luther would have chosen this reaction. Plato would perhaps say this. Maybe I wouldn't say Plato, but talk about a film that he recently saw. And what's your way? And try to examine with him which way fits him.
Well, that's a very calming message that things are not as bad. All of us are in the same human condition. Thank you very much, Ora.